Greetings, this is Stan Houston. Welcome to the program. The Christian entrepreneur seeks God's special wisdom, God's insight, strength, and direction, so they can be fully alive and build a life and a business that matters, that makes a difference for themselves, their family, their community, the common good, and maybe even the very kingdom of God. If you get nothing else from this program, I hope you remember the first 30 seconds, because that's the mission. That's the commission we have, is to help people do just that. Special wisdom, insight, strength, and direction. And maybe in our brief time together, we can do a little bit of that today, as we're going to talk about those people graduating from college, out there for their first real job, their first real career, and how can we help them do just that? And then something that struck me. Could it be that most of us, at some time or another, suffer from adult avoidance syndrome? Well, that's our 20 minutes for today. Let's see where it leads us. I'm Stan Houston. This is the Jesus Entrepreneur Experience. The program begins right now. Indeed, we are off on this Tuesday evening, going into Wednesday. Again, the Christian Entrepreneur Network, TCENglobal.org, TCENglobal.org. That's where we hang out, and you can reach us at RadioEdge77 at gmail.com, RadioEdge77 at gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we would love to have you be on the program. Well, today it is May the 7th, and that means that very shortly, starting just about this weekend, the colleges and universities, particularly in the United States where I live, will be coming to the end of the school year, and they will be graduating the young and other adults into the world of work. I remember one time one of my clients who was extremely busy, and it was about this time of the year, and he discovered that his daughter was coming home the next weekend, and he just really was not ready for her to be home. He was not ready to get that part of his life to attend to her and her needs, and he just simply said to me, he said, "You know, for the amount of money I pay, I think they could keep him a bit longer." And I said, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, "Well, as I remember, we had to stay till the end of May, the 1st of June, and now they're sending them home kind of early." I kind of get where he's at that. But that was something to think about, and obviously, for many of the kids, they'd probably like to stay a bit longer, because that means once they leave that graduation line, they all of a sudden realize that life has changed significantly, and they're going to have to do some things differently. One of my friends, Deb Newman, has a wonderful little story that she tells, and I was fortunate enough to tell it to some of my friends in church on Sunday. And you'll get the point, because most of the people in our church, we are what is called the senior citizen community, the active adult community. Yeah, it's a retirement village. I prefer a new term, which we'll talk about. We are the encore generation. We are the encore people. But that's another story. But here's what Deb said. She said, when a child is born, they're given a box. And in that box, when they open it, they find that there are 22 years. And during those 22 years, they have to survive and begin to grow up and make it through some of those difficult years to becoming adults on their own. Well, then, After that, they open the second box, and there's another box full of 22 years. And this is where they're going to have to put their adult life and container and activities together. This is where they have to do it. They have to get that career. They have to start a family. They have to build a home. They have to start to put those things in place that will allow them to live and live well. Then, after that, around 44, 45, they get a second box. And that box is where they have their power. They have experience. They have teaching, training, education. They have a number of things. And now they have 22 years to make their mark. This can be, you might say, the sunrise, not the sunrise, the high noon, the high sun of their days. This is where they are at their brightest and where they have their power. And this is where they can truly achieve those things that life has all about. Well, then you're at 66. She said, then the next box you open, and it's not 22 years, it's 8,000 days. And you get them one day at a time. And you have to decide how you're going to live that fourth quarter of 8,000 days during your encore. Well, I think that's a kind of a fun way to view it, and I thank Deb for that. But here we have young people, as some people say, they are finally at their quarter life crisis. And many of them are unprepared for it. That's right. In earlier times, it was very much expected that you would start planning that what you're going to do a whole lot younger. You were apprenticed. You were put in the marketplace. You were put in the workplace, oftentimes as a youngster. And now it's somewhat delayed because of the way we do higher education and the way we have kind of created a bubble for our children to allow them to more explore their ways. And then all of a sudden they have to change from being a fairly well-protected child to a less protected adult. And that will lead us to what we might call adult avoidance syndrome. But we'll get to that. But here's the deal. What happened just recently, and I pass it on to you because we're point of the moment. Sue Schellenberger wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal, and it was published just this week. It was May 6th. You see, we're right on the moment. Yesterday, and it was called "The Job Advice You Wish You Knew How to Give." And she goes on to say, times have changed so much that parents puzzle over how to guide their sons and daughters toward a career. Well, perhaps you're in that situation. Maybe you know someone who's in that situation, and there's a good chance you know the young person who is going through that. How come adults have a hard time, or parents have a hard time helping our young people with this crucial summer, this crucial stage in their years? Well, here's just a few things that I put together from the article and added some of my own understandings. First of all, the reason it's hard is because you're their parents. And we all know that at a certain stage in life, our advice is not always welcomed. And even though it might be appreciated in some respects, it's difficult to do. The connection is obviously very close. All of the stuff that goes into strong relationships also leads to those difficulties in strong relationships, good and bad. And so oftentimes it's hard for parents and children to talk about what they should do next. That's where sometimes parents are wise to have prepared some colleagues and friends who just might help them in that mentoring process. And then, of course, there's just so much noise out there. Now, we hear that there are a lot of jobs out there, but The entry-level jobs of any kind of experience or significance are still hard to find. Yes, there's all kinds of jobs out there, but they're not necessarily ones that either the young folks can do or are prepared to do, or in some cases even willing to do. Just a lot of noise. And thirdly, neither the parents nor the kids know how to launch. That's right. We get them educated, we get them reared or raised, but we've never thought about how do you launch someone. And as one of my friends told me, he said, and I certainly didn't learn it in the university, all of them have safe jobs. What do they know about going out and finding a career? And all of those people in the career counseling office, many of them are there because they couldn't find jobs, so they went back and got a job at college again. I don't know if that's true or if that's clear, but that was the charge. And what you learned 20 years ago or 30 years ago is probably not very helpful in what we would have to call the gig, freelance, entrepreneurial experience economy. Remember, most of us did not graduate during what I call the Ice Age. Now, it may have been a long time ago, and it may have been kind of cold, but the Ice Age is the Internet-connected experience economy. And obviously, it's a whole different world out there. I remember that when I graduated from college, I was cultivated to become a penny man. And there was a man who wanted me to join the J.C. Penney Company, and I could have. Now, I found other ways, but I was explored and I was educated by a mentor who wanted me to do that. Well, I don't even know if J.C. Penney Company will exist as obviously the retail apocalypse continues. And even though there are many jobs, many of them are very different than what they are used to or what parents are used to. So they really can't do a very good job of that. Well, what are we supposed to do? And how could we truly help our young friends and adults and maybe our own children find a way to start that career, to start that first job? Well, why don't you think about that? We'll take a 30-second pause, and then I'll come back and maybe I can offer some idea of just what we might start to do. I'm Stan Houston. This is tcenglobal.org/contribute now. I would be grateful if you would help our 501c3. It is a work of public charity in the sense that we're trying to help people without charge with some good things to help them become God's special wisdom, insight, strength, and direction people. And we do this just for you. And here we go. First of all, just let this sit on your head. It struck me. I was actually just passing by as my wife was watching a program, and the essence of the program, which I'd heard before, is a certain professional person who is very talented, but in terms of their personal appearance and image, leaves something to be desired. And what actually happens is a group of friends do kind of an intervention. They call on the people who run this show to come in and teach this person how to dress and how to create a better image. Because as I say in my book, Chapter 2, Chapter 1 is how to overcome fear. Chapter 2, image is not everything, but it is the first thing. And there's advice right there. Teach them how not to be afraid. The spiritual gift that God gives of saying, don't be afraid. But then, number 2, work on their personal image. And the person who was describing this wonderful woman, very bright and very smart, she said, I find that so many young men and women today are in adult avoidance syndrome. They still want to act and dress like children. They think that's okay. They're used to that. And we're trying to help them avoid adult avoidance syndrome. You see, most of us grow older, but not all of us grow up. So, teach them how to dress up. That's right. All the time. You need to teach them how to do that and show them how to do it, because I guarantee you most people don't know how, and it shows. Do this. Perhaps teach them that they have no rights. That's right. Oh, I'm entitled to this. As one of my mentors said to me, Stan, you have one entitlement and one entitlement only. You are entitled to serve others. That's it. Everything else is a gift, it's grace, and in some cases you have to earn it, but nobody owes you anything. Fair is not a discussion we have after the 6th grade. Maybe you need to teach them that. Teach them how to tell their story. Storytelling is the only effective means of communication, and that's what we talk about in our class and course. Teach them that they need to use the word grateful and useful. When people help them or people offer them counsel, tell people how grateful you are, and tell them that they are going to try and figure out not how to promote their references or their past achievements. How can they be useful in the future? Teach them how to connect with other people. That's right. How to truly connect and greet other people. See if you can find a mentor or a sponsor for them. And if you can, that would be good. Here's what I've learned is as soon as you can, find a mentor, find a sponsor, seek a coach. Do that. Help them do that. Well, there we are. It's 17 minutes. I've got just a few more minutes to close it all up. But think about those things. Perhaps play that back again. And we'll have a closing piece of advice. We'll be right back. And here we are. RadioEdge77@gmail.com. Write that down. RadioEdge77@gmail.com. Because if you do that, I will send you a posted email, and it will have the links to 11 different videos on how to get your first job, the next job, and the best job. That's right, I produced this 2 or 3 years ago. We're updating it, but the class could cost you a great deal, and it costs you nothing. It is free for thee and for anybody you want to give it to. So write to me at radioedge77@gmail.com, and we'll send you that course, and you're going to find that everything has changed, and I've got lots of good counsel on how you can find your best job now. And here's the deal. You're going to have to learn how to get performance training. Radio, television, speaking, writing. Broadcast training is vital because every business is going to need broadcast systems in order to make it in the 21st century marketplace. And you will need, in the future, broadcast experience. You're going to have to know how to do that, and we'll be teaching people how to do that. In fact, we're going to be teaching people starting tomorrow. That's what we'll do, and hopefully we'll do it well. But there we go. That's the deal. Again, tcenglobal.org/contribute now. I'll just come right out and say, I really could use your help right now as we make this operation, make this ministry to you, this experience go and grow for you. tcenglobal.org/contribute now. Karen and I would be grateful. And we'll continue with more podcasts, more coaching experiences. And if there is anything I can do to help you, I've had 25, 30 years of broadcast experience. I've had many years as a business performance coach. And I'm very confident that if you and your life and business need some help, I can probably help you. And if I can't, I certainly know someone who can. I'd love to hear from you. Again, radioedge77@gmail.com, radioedge77@gmail.com. Just a few bars over 20 seconds, 20 minutes, but that's all we need. Remember, take 20 minutes every day to learn something you didn't know, become a little bit smarter and well-informed. And by the way, as one of my mentors said this, take 20 minutes every day for 7 years to learn something. And in those 7 years, you'll be a world-class expert. Pass that on to yourself and to the young men and women you want to help. I'm Stan Houston. Thanks for your time. Best and blessings. We'll be back. But bye for now.